Hello, Tutamen, and welcome back to yet another Q&A session here with our channel. We are glad you're here. Just a quick reminder before we get started, these questions come from you. Answers come from us. But if you want a dialogue between us, so that it's not just us answering questions, but you're welcome to join us on the Sunday meetings on Patreon. That helps support the channel and helps make these videos possible. Having said that, let's jump into it.
Sounds good. Okay, continuing on with our questions from YouTube. These were all from the YouTube channel. The first one comes from Maria Pastor. It says, if you have dual citizenship, U.S. and European, do you have to inform the registry that you are leaving the U.S. for good and that's it? What do they expect from you if you are not going to live in the U.S.? If you go back to the U.S. on a visit, what do you have to do? Okay, that's 3 questions. That's cheating. Okay.
But they're related. I get it. They're related.
They are related. So the first one was, do you have to let them know you're leaving if you have dual citizenship? So if you have a second passport.
The answer is obviously yes. If you're living in the jurisdiction of the United States, you are bound to their laws. However, as we now know, you simply have to deregister, which is to tell whatever your local reporting authority is. In Florida, it's the sheriff's office. You just have to let them know that you're moving outside the country, and that's the end of it. If you visit the United States, if you go back for a wedding or a birthday or to bury a loved one, you will be bound by the registry requirements again during your stay there. And then when you're ready to go, you deregister again and leave. Once you're outside of the jurisdiction, excuse me for rambling. Once you're outside of American jurisdiction, you can do what you damn well please.
Yeah, lately there's been some discussion on deregistering. I've seen in the comments a lot. People have been asking because we started using that word, and it's a new word for some people. They didn't know there was such a thing. There was, once you're on it, there's no opposite. But the term deregister doesn't mean be removed completely. Like when your time expires, if you're tier 1 or tier 2, your time does expire. You have an end date, okay? And that is not deregistering. That is just being removed from the registry and all of the wonderful joys that come with that. Deregistering just means you are going to leave the jurisdiction you're in, okay? And you are going to move to another place, whether that's another state in the United States or another country. When you do that, all states have the same policy. It's you are no longer going to be our problem. You are moving to another jurisdiction. We will record that, that information where you're going, and we will transmit it to them. So then you can become their problem, and you are no longer our problem. Most states, there are some that will not do this, but most states, after you have left their jurisdiction, they will wipe their hands of you, and they will remove you from their registry. They will remove you from their website and everything. That is deregistering. Some states, like the big F, they will not. They will keep you on for life and death.
And thank you. Even after
cut you off there. They will not get rid of you. I think there are some other places, like I think Texas might be one of them. I heard. I'm not sure, but in those cases, no, you will be on a list.
So it's more an issue of deregistering your address,
you're
not your file.
Yeah, you're deregistering yourself from having the obligation in your jurisdiction to continue registering while you were gone. So when you leave and you go to another country, obviously you're not in a registrable jurisdiction of the United States. There's no registry there. So your obligation to register is no longer there. However, because of IML's new update that was just passed last year, if you should be registering had you been living in the U.S., then your passport's still required to have a stamp on it. Okay, so, and they will do that forever and ever and ever and ever because your clock only pauses while you're gone out of the U.S. You know, if you still had 10 years left or 5 years left to register, that time just is still there when you come back.
Funny aside, if I may, there was an amendment proposed inside the U.S. Congress that would require other countries to keep track of sex offenders that left the United States and moved into their jurisdictions. I discussed this with several of my German colleagues who literally laughed out loud. That's how ridiculous it is. No other country is interested in keeping track of American sex offenders, especially when Europe already considers a large portion of what the Americans do to be absolutely nonsensical.
Horrendous.
So, yeah, it's also a fun fact. Florida has me listed as absconded, even though they know exactly where I'm at. And for several years, I filed tax returns from here with my address printed on it. But somehow I'm absconded. All right, whatever. That's Florida. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the big F.
That is the big F. It's America's Wang.
Yeah.
So if you do go back to visit, then like Steve said, you are bound by the laws of whatever state you go to. Some states they'll allow you to be there a few days, maybe up to a week, I think, before you are then obligated to register, because you will be considered an out-of-state registrant. Like,
I mean, it is out of state.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, it's a long ass way out of state, but it's out of state.
yeah. So you'll be bound by their like visiting SO rules. Apparently.
Visiting us. It's like having my sister visit.
Unless it's your home state. If it's your home state from where you originally left from, then you're still bound by the same rules. But regardless, there are some places that will only allow you a few hours. I know Florida, it's like you have 10 minutes from the time you cross.
The big F.
Yeah, the big F. I'm sorry.
Big F
from the time you cross the Georgia big F line, to run to the sheriff's office. I mean, Grady Judd will be waiting there for you.
Yes, he will. Okay, you bring this up.
With a cat of nine tails.
No lawyer has challenged Grady Judd because the man gets online with pictures, posts videos talking about how guilty these people are, laying out all the evidence, and the man is tainting the jury pool of the county in which these people are being charged. Poisoning the jury pool.
Yes.
How has nobody challenged this man?
Because it's the great Grady Judd.
It's the big F.
It's in the big F.
It's the big F. And I'm not going to do it because I don't want anything to do with Florida. Yeah. It's like walking through Florida is like walking through a dog turd. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to have to deal with it.
There's a lot of swamps down there. A lot of gators. A lot of big fan boats.
A lot of gator wrestling.
A lot of guys with the word big in their name. Big Al, Big Ed. Moving on.
Okay, please.
This next one comes from Mr. Green.
Big Green?
Mr. Green.
Okay.
Not Mr. Clean and not Professor Plum. Mr. Green. Do you know why it is that folks on the registry can't just be allowed to leave the United States? Why does the U.S. government make it so difficult for those who have served their debt to society and, in this case, forcefully register, to leave for another country that won't chastise them or violate their human rights?
Okay. I believe.
Good question.
I believe, this is my personal opinion, this is something that when I was in an isolation cell, I spent an awful lot of time thinking about. Society, and I mean particularly the American society, needs a whooping boy. They've got to have somebody to blame all their social ills on. And it used to be you could pick on women and that was okay, but now that's illegal. And you used to be able to pick on blacks, slaves. That was legal and that was okay. Then it was homosexuals and that was legal and that was okay. But as each one of these minority groups gained political recognition, it became intolerable. It was not allowed to blame everything on these people, and you couldn't pick on them. Well, sex offenders are a really easy target. People who are accused of sex-related crimes are very easy to pick on. It's very easy for politicians to run on a platform of we're going to get tough on these people because nobody's going to speak against them. It's just easy. Now, the second part of that question, why does America make it so difficult for these people to leave? If they don't want them in America, why don't they let them go? Why do they force them to stay? I spent a lot of time thinking about that my last 2-3 years in prison because I didn't want to be a statistic. I wanted a viable solution. And what I realized was, first of all, they want you to stay because they need the whooping boys. Politically, they need sex offenders to stay there so that they can use them as boogeyman around election time. But the truth is, they're not stopping you from leaving. They're not. Mm-hmm. There is no law that prevents someone on the registry from getting a passport. Obviously, that's why they have the stamp inside the passports now. They're not stopping you from getting that. They're not stopping you from buying an airline ticket. I am unaware of an airline that checks someone's background before issuing them a ticket or issuing them a boarding pass. Right. Get on a plane and go. It's that simple. You can leave. Now, the U.S. tries to make it difficult by letting these other countries know ahead of time, oh, we got a dangerous sex offender coming your way. At least as far as European countries are concerned, they're hip to the game. They're not impressed, and it's not working. So, just in summary, America doesn't want you to leave because they need a whooping boy. On the other hand, if you do leave, they're not stopping you.
Yeah.
Did I answer that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, the U.S., if you leave, who are they going to punish?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they need someone to get all that money from. You have to
They've
pay for everything.
They've got to have a boogeyman.
They got to keep the prisons filled. I mean, because those people need jobs. Yeah. You know?
Another aside while you're on the topic. One of the things I hear an awful lot in the media is how sex offenders get picked on when they go to prison, how they're targets in the prison system. And I can't speak for any state other than the Big F, but that's not true. If you go to the Florida Department of Corrections website, you can look up the statistics of the people who are in prison, and you will see that the majority of people in prison in the Big F have sex-related offenses. They are the majority. And as soon as they realize that inside the prison system, it's the non-sex offenders who are going to need to watch out. Can you imagine a roving gang in prison on the rec yard of sex offenders?
The Pink Panthers.
On the prowl. But, I mean, that's just statistics talking. That's not just my opinion. Please, feel free to fact check me. Mm-hmm. You can tell I have a lot of free time when I am looking up statistics like that. Mm-hmm. I don't have any free time.
That is true. No, we don't have a lot of free time. Okay, moving on.
Moving on up.
This one comes from Ken Maples. What's up, Ken?
That almost sounds like a character in a book. Ken Maples. Okay.
He says he has a few questions. What do you do financially to survive in Germany? That's an easy one.
Work.
Get a job. Do the videos that we make pay?
Pay no. What?
Because this is YouTube. It is not monetized.
Yeah.
You'll notice there's no ads. There's nothing. It's just we do this because we love you so much.
We're never going to monetize this channel.
Yeah, the support we do get is through Patreon. So I mean, if you do want to support us, that's great because you're helping make these videos. You're helping the community and everything. And the Patreon link is on the screen in front of you if you are interested. But he is also asking, how did you afford the move? And
me personally, or you, or just generally?
I'm assuming you, because he is wondering, like, after you got out of prison, how did you make the move? And that's a fair question.
Okay, that is a fair question. The short answer is I had friends who were willing to financially support me.
Yeah.
The longer answer is that when I got out of prison, and keep in mind, I keep religion and politics out of the channel. I go to great lengths to keep those things separated. But I personally am an atheist. I have no use for religion. Interestingly, when I got a job at KFC, when I got out of prison, I worked for a KFC in the same town I got out of prison, so that I ended up serving an awful lot of the guards that used to, watch over me. And the owner of this KFC used to be a detective with the sheriff's office for sex offenders. And he hired a bunch of sex offenders because he knew he could pay them dirt. He could treat them like dirt, and they were going to be so grateful for jobs that they couldn't go anywhere. And in this store, the managers who worked in that store all were related to the owner, and they were stealing this store blind. And it really annoyed me that I'm supposed to be the criminal, and I'm the one being honest at work. I'm the one telling the truth. I'm the one not stealing. And I had such a problem with it that one day on a Monday morning, I needed somebody to talk to, and I ended up going to a church near to where I lived, and I said, I need to talk to the priest just because I need to talk to somebody who's a neutral party in this. And the priest and I ended up becoming very good friends. This is an Episcopalian priest, so he was married, and I ended up becoming very good friends with his wife. And they so much believed in what I was trying to do and so much believed in me that they paid for it out of their own pockets. They bought my airline ticket, and they gave me, a few $1,000 to get started over here, which is fascinating that my closest friend in the United States is a priest when I am a raging atheist. So the short answer to go back is I had the help of very dear friends who have come to Germany now to visit me and went to Oktoberfest with me recently. And shout out to them because I love those people to no end.
Yeah, it's some people are fortunate to have that. Others, we tell you, you have to have some money if you're going to come over here. Save your money because it's not cheap. I mean, you are starting your life over, so you have to keep that in mind.
And go watch the video we filmed earlier today on the opportunity card.
Plenty of videos available on that subject.
Yeah.
So,
but thank you, Ken.
yes, thank you, Ken. Moving on. Okay. This next one comes from
The one you love.
Alan Wilson.
Oh, wait, redo that. I forgot we were filming. I'm sorry. Can you redo?
I'll leave that in.
All right, go ahead.
I'm
behaving. I'm behaving.
This next one comes from Alan Wilson. Okay, it says, I'd like to know which of the following countries would be better for an SO to move to from the United States.
Any country?
And that list is Iceland,
Yes.
Greenland,
Yes.
Finland, Ireland, or the UK. I can't seem to find anything online about the laws on SOs moving to those countries. Furthermore, how much does it cost to move to Germany?
Okay, first,
In that list,
take Ireland right off the list. Take the UK right off the list.
yeah, Ireland and the UK, forget
Off.
about it.
They're
That's-
off. Greenland is Denmark. So the question is Iceland or Denmark. I would point out that Iceland has a very opposite view of sex offender registries in the United States. And in fact, last year they passed a new law, passed a bill, enacted a new law that protected the identities of those who have been accused of sex offenses, because the idea being that when they got out of prison, they needed to be rehabilitated. They needed to be able to reintegrate into the community, and they can't do that if they've been blasted. Further, if someone is accused of a sex offense, but it later turns out that they were innocent, their reputations have not been ruined. I will also remind you, because I know I've said it in another video, Iceland actually rejected the idea of a sex offender registry. So Iceland, yeah. I've not been to Iceland yet. You've been through it.
Yeah, I've been to Iceland.
Okay. I've not
Twice.
been there and spent any kind of time, so I can't really tell you what society is like there. But everything I have heard and read, I could very easily. I don't know if I could live there, but I certainly could visit there. Also, it's not as cold as the name sounds, Iceland, because of the jet stream. It's warmer than it sounds. Whereas Greenland is very cold, contrary to the name that it's given. And because because Greenland falls under Danish law.
Because they wouldn't sell it to Donald Trump.
That part. Again, you have strong protections for privacy. So, Greenland is very heavily influenced by EU law. But there's almost nobody living in Greenland.
There's some natives.
There's some seals and some orcas.
Yeah, there's plenty of
I don't know
marine
what you
life.
would do for a job.
A place like that, you operate a hotel.
For who?
I'm trying to think. It's a service. There's nothing. You could be a fisherman.
You could do that. I mean, we're not being facetious. There are literally very few people in Greenland.
Yeah,
I don't even know. Speaking as a pilot, I can't even name for you a major airport there.
I don't think there are any. I think you have to fly there directly from
Maybe
a
Iceland
small
or
like from
Canada.
Iceland. You can take
No.
smaller craft to get there, but there's no international flights that I believe will land anywhere in Greenland.
Okay. And as far as Finland, I know that Finland also rejected the idea of a registry, but I am simply not that familiar with Finland. I'm being honest.
Hope you speak Finnish.
Yeah, which is complicated from what I'm told and very cold.
Yeah.
But just for recap, take Ireland and UK right off your list.
Yeah. Greenland, I believe, has there's a town or city there
A town, okay.
that will allow you to move there without a visa and give you residency. I don't think you even need to apply. I think you just move there and you become a resident.
Okay, but if you're moving to a place that will give you residency
It's
just
sparsely
to move
populated, though.
tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, you might have to build a house or an
Out of
igloo.
ice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Greenland would be fun to visit.
So out of that list,
You know,
though,
I'd love to
Iceland
go
and
there.
Finland. Iceland, yes. Finland,
Iceland's going to be expensive because everything's imported, just about.
but they have 5 KFCs there.
Wow. Yeah, there's. I mean, everything's going to be a little more expensive. Cost of the living's going to be a little bit higher. You might have a hard time trying to find a place to work because it's kind of like a closed system.
But again, unless you work on a fishing boat or something like that, I mean, that's
Yeah,
impossible.
there's. Yeah, you could do things like that.
But you're going to do that speaking Icelandic.
Yeah.
And Icelandic is part of the family of languages that Norway, Sweden, and Denmark spring from.
Scandinavian languages.
Good luck.
Good luck, Eric. I'm sure you can do it.
That's a Viking name, Eric. You
That's
might
why.
be able
That's
to
why I
pull it
said
off.
that. It was a joke.
Oh.
Yeah, there's gonna I don't think there's any laws on SOs in those countries. Well, I mean, outside of Ireland and the UK, but Finland, Greenland, Iceland,
No registry.
they're under standard European law, so I don't think you'd have much to worry about.
And under heavy Scandinavian
Yeah.
influence. So.
So, and how much does it cost to move to Germany? Well, that cost could vary greatly from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, we tell people, 10,000 would be a good net to have
Be on
minimum.
the safe side.
But I mean, the more you can bring with you, the better, or have access to. You don't have to bring it all with you, but at least if you have access to it, you should be okay.
But that brings us back to what I was. We did a video earlier today on the opportunity card. So there is now a visa where you can get a job in Germany, a part-time job, before you even get here, and that's going to help defer an awful lot of your costs. That's going to help a lot. And I think if you fit into the requirements, and you'll need to see that video to get all the requirements, but that will take a heavy burden off of your shoulders.
Yeah, check it out.
possible.
Check out that video. Learn a little bit about the new opportunity card, and see if you qualify. You might not even need it, but as an American, you can just come over and find a job.
Well, the opportunity card works all that way also. You don't have to apply for it before you come to Germany. So.
Well, that's all the questions we have for today. But we will be back again soon with another episode. Gather some more questions from you guys, and we'll see you again real soon. So, in the meantime, please help support us on Patreon. You'll be supporting the community. You're helping us make these videos and getting this information out to everybody. You're really helping a lot of people by doing that.
Correct.
Also on Sundays, every Sunday, I host the meetings on Zoom. They are there. They go for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. You can ask your questions, talk, meet people, socialize, get to meet some very interesting folks.
Yep.
So,
Who are not happy with their situations.
and they're trying to change it.
They're trying to do something about it.
Till next time, guys.
Till next time, remain safe, be smart, stay healthy. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.